Hello, Lisa Richard here with Loving Energy Recharge. Welcome to the Inner Alchemy for December the 8th, leading us through to the 14th. For those that are following along with their human design birth chart, we are moving into the heart center this week. It is the small triangle on your body graph. And if you are new to human design, you can pop by my website, lovingenergyrecharge.com. Check out the Learn Human Design tab to create your free birth chart. And there are some videos there to also help you get started. But here's why you want to know your birth chart. When you take a look at the center that we are in, the number that is in the center we are in, that is all in relationship to this outer wheel on what is known as the mandala wheel, the wheel of change. It has a very systematic pattern that brings us through the year, but it also brings us through each and every one of the 64 gates, the teachings of the Gene Keys by its founder, Richard Rudd, which relate to the 64 codon strands within your cellular DNA. So we start to recognize that we can use our birth chart in relationship to this very rhythmic pattern of the mandala wheel turning through each one of the 12 zodiac signs. So right now, landing us in Sagittarius season, moving through each one of those 64 gates in order. So this time frame, opening up gate number 26 in that heart center. This is where we can take a look at the energy that is in the micro, the collective, and how it's affecting yourself as an individual, the micro. So if you are an energy sensitive, if you feel other people's energies, if you're feeling the moon cycles, if you don't know sometimes why your moods are constantly shifting, you're picking up on the energies. And when you start to become more aware of the energies that are at play out there, you start to really empower yourself to not be overwhelmed by the energies, but to learn from the lower vibrations, which we call our shadow tendencies. And more importantly, you start to raise your vibration to harness the gifts. Every one of those gateways have a shadow, they have a gift, they have a learning opportunity, and it's up to us as individuals to do our own self-actualization, meaning to become aware of how the macro affects the micro and how your energy and your processing of that energy then in turn goes out to feed the macro. So it's the understanding that we're not here to change the world and we're not here to change anybody else. But as we do our own inner alchemy work, as you work on yourself, to have more faith in yourself, to trust in yourself, to do your ascension work, to work in relationship with your higher self, well, that has the ability to help show the way. It has the ability to support others. It has the ability to transform the energy that is going out into the collective. So we're going to take a look at gate number 26 in that heart center, that little triangle in your human design chart. And that heart center for 65% of you is going to appear white in your human design chart. And whenever something appears white, it acts like a sponge, meaning it is pulling in the collective energy. So it becomes one of your areas of greatest conditioning. Or another way to look at that is you came to Earth School to really learn about that subject. In the heart center, we find tribal energy. So this is the energy that supports the community, the tribe, the family, and it's all about how we hold our resources, how we allocate our resources, how we use things such as money, land, title, right? So it's very material in nature, but it is designed to be of the tribe, of the collective energy. 65% of you having that white in your chart. This carries the themes of self-esteem, self-worth, and a tendency to prove yourself. Meaning if you have that white in your chart, you probably do a lot of things that expend a lot of energy from a conditioned mindset that you need to do better, you need to try harder, you've got to prove that you can do it, you got to prove that you're worthy enough. So unconsciously, we often do a lot of things to seek attention, to seek approval, to seek validation, to be something or someone in the eyes of others. And we so blindly chase after that, and we don't realize how our self-worth, our self-esteem, our self-confidence then becomes so intertwined by what we believe others think of us, perceive of us, accept of us. And we will go to such lengths to compromise our truths in order to so-called fit in. And a great way to really see this at play is look into our school systems, look into the children, look into the pressures of going through junior high, high school, and then out into the workplace, and how we all have a tendency to pretend to be something or somebody we're not just to fit in. Or how we tend to override when the body says no, but the mind says, well, if you don't, you're going to be laughed at, you're going to be ridiculed. If you don't, you're going to make somebody unhappy. You're going to have to face that. So our mind is always overriding the wisdom of this body, your intuition that knows ultimately what is in the highest good. And it's only when we become aware of how the body communicates to us, how the intuition communicates to us, how you are using your energy, your life force energy to either generate more energy, more life force to help feed the collective, or you are depleting your energy by getting caught up in worries and in fears and doing everything that moves away from your sense of soul satisfaction or ultimate happiness. So we've been really traveling through Sagittarius season that is in the 9th house of higher learning, exploration, spirituality. We're also moving through what is known as the Ring of Light in the teachings of the Gene Keys by Richard Rudd. And the Ring of Light is ultimately how your body stores, captures, and transmutes light waves. So think of that in terms of, if you're a plant, how are you photosynthesizing, right? So Mother Earth uses the sun as energy to nourish itself, to feed itself, to ward off infections and diseases, to strengthen root systems. It is an essential component of growth. Well, it's no different than us humans. We are here to open the cells within our body to draw in more light so that you then have more energy available to you to harness it for the highest good, to keep yourself healthy, to keep yourself radiant, to keep your energy intact. Now, we're all going to go through cycles where you're going to have periods of higher energy and lower energy, right? Just like Mother Earth, she's not always in full bloom. She has to go through her seasons of fall, winter, spring, summer. So it's unrealistic for us to think that we should always have high energy, that we should always be on, that we should always be our best. Sometimes our best might look really frazzled. It might look really worn out, but you are drawn so deeply into yourself. It's kind of like the ugly duckling story, right? You go through phases of just feeling like, oh my gosh, I just feel like I'm a mess. And then you start to rise into this new beauty of your truth, of your authenticity. You start to peel away all those things that aren't yours. You stop proving yourself. You stop doing things when your body says don't do that. You stop jumping on the bandwagon. You start asking questions. And that sometimes can stimulate a lot of worry in other people who like you the way you are and they don't want to see you change, but that's their own fear story. And if we don't change and evolve and really empower ourselves to lead our best life, how do we expect anyone else to thrive and do that as well? So if you're a parent, if you're not living your best life, but you're advising your kids to do certain things, that's falling flat. Because if your actions are not supporting your words, the children are looking at that or others are looking at it and then going, well, you're not doing it, right? So we all have this accountability to do our own inner alchemy work. And that starts by getting really clear on noticing the patterns and knowing how we have all these opportunities to learn about the shadows at play, the learning lessons at play, the light aspects at play. And as we are in gate number 26, the heart center, we're in the energy of what is known as accumulation. And it comes with the archetype of the salesman, the marketer. It is a desire to be the best. Now, it's interesting because in the Northern Hemisphere, we are approaching Christmas. So you look out to the collective, you look out to the energies at play. You can see how marketing is amped up, how there's a very real pressure to compete for your spending dollars, how they become very good at using emotions, using your feelings, using your memories, trying to create a story in your mind, a picture in your mind, an experience in your mind of why you need their product and how their product will enhance your life, how you will become somebody or you'll become something. And that is said through language, through tone, through visuals, through many ways that marketing in general have accumulated. And why? Because we're creatures of habit, because we have patterns, because they know that we're going to respond to certain things. We're all very, very predictable because we're unaware of our own behavioral patterns. So marketing tracks that. It's tracked through your phones, it's tracked through your buying habits, it's tracked through your spending. They know the language to get you in the door, to keep reminding you, to put the pressure on you. They are learning from that. And now we have this thing called AI, artificial intelligence, who is able to take all of that information that has been collecting for many, many years, and literally like that, it can provide the correct message for the correct audience to get them to move in a certain way. That is how easily we can be manipulated. So we are here to learn from that, to look at the shadow energy in this case of pride and its teaching, its learning aspect of lack, to see how we choose to keep ourselves in a lower vibrating energy because we believe we're not enough. We believe we don't have enough. We believe we are less than if we don't have a certain brand or a certain item. We've been taught to compare ourselves to others. We have a sense of pride that, well, I don't want anybody to see that I can't afford that or that I'm not able to do that. I have to show up. I have to buy this, right? So we convince ourselves from the mind, from the ego, and we override the wisdom of the body that says, well, can we afford that this year? And it's not a being less than, it's not about being not enough. It's about the realities of changing worlds and changing jobs and rising costs of living. And also really looking at the family and the family's needs and saying, is material objects going to create the happiness and harmony in our home? Is this pressure to buy these things, are these in my children's best interests? Or am I feeding into distractions? Am I feeding into something that's going to pull us more apart as a family because it creates more separation? It puts barriers into communication. Am I feeding into this and teaching my children that they won't be enough if they don't get something better than their peers, or they don't get the same thing as their peers? Am I buying into that for my own energy, my own accumulation of belief systems that then compare yourself to others? Do you tend to measure your self-worth based on where you feel you fit in with your peer group, with others in your neighborhood, with the neighborhood that you are in? And it's only when we really truly look at these things for ourselves and we see how the energy of pride can really prevent us even from doing what's in our best health, for using tools that will help us to become healthier, because there's a belief that, well, other people will perceive me as weak. So sometimes we even put the barriers on to seek the help that we need because we're so afraid of what others will think of us. So these are the low vibrating energies right now through the gateway of accumulation in that heart center, in the archetype of the salesman and the marketer, of really looking at, what are you selling yourself? Because it doesn't matter what the energy in the collective is doing. It doesn't matter what industry is doing, brands are doing, stores are doing, products are doing. What matters is, what are you believing in all of that? What are you buying into? And what are you also selling? So we have a two-way energetic flow in this to know that we're also selling, meaning cultivating energy in our auric field, more lack because of a belief system, more pressure, more I don't have this, or I have to do this. And that feeds into that energy field that then starts bringing towards you more reasons why you can look at lack, more reasons why you're going to buy certain things because of a desire for something. So we are literally always attracting and manifesting what is in our auric field. And one of the most dominant things in your auric field is in relationship to your thoughts, to your beliefs, to your stories, to your emotions. And being able to look at yourself and go, you know, pride really does stand in my way. And it can show up in many different ways. In this past week for myself, I have caught in pride in defending myself, in choosing to stand up to an energy that did not feel good to me, but in saying no, in that uncomfortability, pride has been creeping in by trying to justify my actions and sharing that with others. So pride, lack of self-confidence, lack of self-work, then snowballs out to involve other people in for the validation of, well, you did that correctly. That diminishes your internal self-worth, self-esteem. And I'm sharing that because we all have these energies. And it's only when we are open and honest and vulnerable enough with ourselves to say, you know what? Yes, I do that. It's not about saying, I don't have those shadow energies, or I don't have that sense of that, or I'm a good person, I would never do that. We're not perfect. We're here to really look at our shadow and to say, you know, I'm a human. I make mistakes. I'm learning. I'm growing, as is everybody else. So we're going to go through our experiences. And it's only when we look at our experiences and we see our experiences and we accept our experiences that we can then rise above it. So we have an opportunity to use what is known through the teachings of the Gene Keys as the gift of artfulness. This is heart marketing. So this is using your ability to sell something, to manipulate the energy because you know how to use the correct way to communicate to somebody to get your message across. But it's coming from your heart. It's coming from a desire to serve the whole. And people will recognize it through how you communicate. They're going to hear it in your voice. They're going to feel it in your body language. You're going to be awakening within their own heart that internal dialogue that starts to generate that says, yeah, I'm feeling this. I'm aware of this. I'm getting this. So you're using artfulness as a way to create an opportunity, to sell an opportunity, to show that there is another way. So be very mindful of the energy this week. Be very curious of the energy this week. Grab on to Sagittarian in the house of the explorer to explore yourself, to explore if you are feeling more pressure to buy right now, and why are you wanting to do that? Really asking yourself what matters, taking a look at pride and what is realistic in your budget. What can you do? Maybe there's an opportunity instead of buying for everybody, you draw names. Maybe instead of buying things at all, maybe you're going to create an experience. Maybe you're going to make something. Maybe you're going to choose to step out and celebrate in your own way and in your own day and in your own time. Because who says you have to do these things at Christmas, right? That's another theme that we buy into. But what is correct for you? I can't tell you what is right for you. You have to feel that for yourself. So we have some powerful energies moving us through this ring of light. This is our third gate activation within it. At the end of December the 14th, we step into the last gate activation, the ring of light, and it's all about harmony. So you are on a journey to cultivate the greatest amount of harmony within yourself. And that's felt by how much is your body relaxed. So if your body's not relaxed right now, if you are energetically depleted, if you are sick, you're in the shadow energy, meaning you're in the lower vibration, and the light is trying to call you up. And you can't get to that higher light aspects unless the body's relaxed and the mind is relaxed, and you step back out of the hustle and bustle and you make yourself available to receive. That is where we are opening up to recognizing we're not here to do it all by ourselves. We have a huge spiritual team that is supporting us, and we have one another in opportunities to collaborate, to lessen the load, to cultivate more authentic joy, more authentic experiences, to really question for ourselves, what are we buying into? And what are we selling to ourselves? And what are we selling to others? So have fun in this energy. And for those who are available on December the 12th, this is our 12/12 portal. I'm offering you an opportunity to come in for a free mini chart reading. We're going to talk about the energy of the 12/12 portal. We're going to talk more about the energy of this ring of light, because ultimately that is our gateway that opens us up to the final gate activation of whether we step into harmony or more disharmony for ourselves. It moves us closer to that winter solstice that drives us back into the behavior of the self. And that's your chance to really look at how your birth chart can be used as a tool for you to start tracking the energy, track the turning of the mandala wheel, get to become aware on the active gates, how that affects your chart. So this is a free offering. This is my gift to you from my heart to share what I've learned in my own journeys and what I've come to really fall in love with as a tool for self-discovery. It's not going to cost you anything but your time, and you do need to have your birth information. So when you go to register, it is going to ask you to put in your time of birth. That is important to create an accurate chart for yourself. If you do not know your time of birth and you can't find your time of birth, see if somebody in the family is aware of, the time of day you were born. Maybe they remember it being close to supper. Maybe they remember a certain TV show on when they got the call for that. So don't be afraid to reach out to somebody to put in there what you may believe to be a good time frame. And if you really don't know anything at all, there's still a chance to sign up for that and just put that in the comment section at the time of registering. There's always ways to give you a chart and to let you know what parts are accurate and what parts you're going to have to really lean into your intuition for a deeper self-discovery. But there's always something that you can capture that you can trust as an accuracy in your chart, because it'll appear in there for that whole 24-hour time frame, that you can at least start to get curious with you and how things are showing up for you. So if you are afraid to come through the door because you don't know the time of birth, there's an opportunity now to trust and allow yourself to discover. So that event is going to be held live on Zoom. You do have to register. You can do that through the Facebook event, or you can visit my website and go to the event tab. That is for the 12/12 portal. And it does start at 6:30 Pacific Standard Time. I am on Vancouver Island. So for those of you who watch from Alberta, that is 7:30 your time. And for those in other time zones, you may have to go to a time zone calculator to check that out for yourself. Or when you go to register, it will give you the time in your time zone and you'll get the reminders in your time zone. It is not going to be recorded. So if you're coming in the door, we're going to be sharing aspects about your chart. We're going to give you a mini reading and also talk about the collective energies within there. So I'm trusting that if you are investing your time and energy to sign up, that you are showing up, because I'm investing my time and energy to also show up. So I hope to greet you at the doors. I hope to have an opportunity to talk to you about the magnificence of your design, how spectacular it can be to really get to know, oh my gosh, we do feel all these energies. And what a blessing it can be when you learn to really get to know you, to notice, oh, I just picked up on something else. And then to get curious enough to learn from it, to not be overwhelmed by it, to not be shut down from it, to not be afraid of it, but to use it as a teaching tool, to know your relationship with your higher self, and that you are supported in this journey. That's my passion. And I hope that you continue to follow the journey as we explore through the teachings of the zodiac signs on this YouTube channel. And for those of you that have enrolled into the bigger courses, the exploring the teachings of Sagittarius season, Capricorn season, whatever yours is, that are available through the website, dive into this one even deeper. Go listen to the recording for this gate activation that is part of this course. There is probably 90 minutes of teachings to bring you into that deeper awareness of the energies and your chart so that you can really step into the contemplations of feeling how this is showing up for you and opening yourself up to receive the light. There is such potential right now to receive those light codes. So trust in your journey, trust that you've always been enough, really question your feelings of lack, really look at how pride gets in the way, and use artfulness, heart-centered marketing to be mindfully aware of what you are selling and what you are buying in this energy exchange right now and moving through all of your days. Namaste. The light in me sees the light in you. Take care, everybody.